Today I'm going to unbox and take a look at For the People. This is a game published by GMT Games, which was kind enough to send me this copy, so thank you very much. And designed by Mark Herman. Yes, the Mark Herman, the arguable originator of the card-driven game mechanic, the mechanic that uses cards as events and or action points to conduct operations on a point-to-point map. I think his first design dealt with the American Revolutionary War, and then that's been translated to other conflicts, including the American Civil War, which is the topic or focus of For the People. And as you can see here, this is the 25th anniversary edition, because there have been other versions of this over the last 25 years. And the one I have came in this box. Sorry for my cough. This was the 2006 second printing. And as you can see, game designed by Mark Herman. Very good game. Great topic. I'm interested to see what kind of updates they have done from this version to this version. One of them I know is going to be the mounted map. This one came with a paper map, but then I actually upgraded. Golly, got the coughs again. I actually upgraded the map here from, so I might as well pull both of them out here. I'll just pull this out. I actually got the upgraded map here. So this is the paper map that came with it, and then I got this map. But this was, I think, considered a mounted map. It's really not. It's just very thick poster board. The kind of paper you would use for for player aids. But this was the deluxe map that you could upgrade for the people. Back when I got this set, this has an actual mounted map, so we'll see what that looks like when we crack into this. As you can see here's an example of the map. Interesting. That looks like the map that I have, and this maybe there's two, maybe it's double-sided. One to give you kind of the clear delineation of the boxes, and then you get a little bit more of a terrain or a little bit more art on the back there. So you also get to see the example of the cards. As you can see here are like the events or something that something that might be specific to that card that you can use, or and there might be history on it. But there's also the kind of the action points. Blue are for Union and gray are for Confederate, and then this one can be used by either one of them for operational points. You get an example of the counters here. Mainly it's the leaders, and the infantry units are basically going to be strength points. So here's like 5 for the Confederate or Southern forces and 3 for the Union. You also have army markers, but then again, and then you got the leaders with their ratings as well. The complexity is a 5, and solitaire suitability is a 6. This is one, I don't think there's a solitaire bot unless they added that in here. I don't believe the earlier versions had that, but any kind of card-driven game are a little bit hard to do solitaire, in that you kind of have to play them two-handed, because there is hidden information. The cards you have in your hands, only you know what they are and know when to use those. There have been some modules or solo, the Stuka Joe's card-driven solo bot, which is a system where you roll it. There's like a chart to mimic the AI, or to handle the cards that come out, or the cards that are in the other side's hands, and then you roll a die to determine what's going to happen with those. I think that one covers For the People. I would have to check. There's 2 editions of that. They've covered, I think, a total of at least 10 to 12 games in those two supplements. It's just the charts and the die and the rules that are specific to those games. But they might have to go back and check my notes because I have covered those. If I have, I'll put a link to it in the video. But then that might be a way to play this solo as well. As you can see here, the game contents, 420 full color die cut counters. Let's go a little bit closer there so you can see all that. 122 by 34 inch double-sided mounted mat board with all new artwork by Terry Leeds on the front and the classic map on from Mark Simonich on the back. So there's the classic map, and then there's the new map with the art. Excuse me. 130 strategy cards, 1 strategy card reference, 48-page rule and scenario booklet, 2 player aid cards, and 2 6-sided dice. Again, I don't know if they've updated anything from the original editions for this 25th. I think mainly it's the mounted maps and the new art, but I haven't read up on all that as much just yet. Let's go in a little bit closer here so we can see some of the text. So the 25th anniversary edition, For the People pioneered card-driven gaming 25 years ago, and it still stands out today among what is now a crowded field of games using the CDG mechanics. Its simple combat system combined with dynamic gameplay have kept this game fresh and replayable over the decades. This newest printing will allow another generation of players to take up the reins of power and attempt to favorably sway the course of events in the titanic struggle that threatened to divide the nation in its early years. So that's the introduction to the 25th anniversary edition. For the People is a grand strategy card-driven game of the American Civil War, covering the conflict from Texas to Pennsylvania, from the firing of Fort Sumter to the end at Appomattox Courthouse. You take the role of either President Lincoln or President Davis and command the armies, promote and relieve generals, conduct amphibious assaults, dispatch cavalry raids, and even battle incompetency and political intrigue among the members of your own cabinet. For the People includes a deck of strategy cards for conducting campaigns and incorporating the many events and personalities of the war. The Confederate player can build ironclads, naval mines, torpedoes, and submarines, conduct overseas purchases, and work toward foreign intervention. The Union player can build up their naval blockade and their ironclad fleet, fight draft riots, secure the border states, and issue the Emancipation Proclamation. Relive the history of this exciting time when our nation was torn asunder. I like this game. I like CDGs in general. Some people don't. Some people don't like the CDGs because there's a lot more swinginess that could happen based on what cards you get. All the history's there, but it's not necessarily the way it happened, given what cards you get and what times you get them. Some CDGs probably have a little more swinginess than others. I found this one to be very a little bit tighter and a little bit more close to the events that take place based on how the rules are kind of set out or the limitations that are in there. And I generally liked it, and I enjoy playing this. But let's get inside the box and see what is all in there. As you can see, this is a thicker box, a bigger box than the one that I came in. This was more of the standard. The one that I have, this is more of the standard GMT box of that day. And then this is probably more sturdy, but definitely a thicker box that comes with the game now. Okay, let me go out just a tad so you can see what is inside that box. And I'll probably have to go up even more to take a look at that map. So good thick quality box there, and thick both on the sides of it, but also the deepness of it as well. Here are the rules of play, which are 48 pages with an index in the back. Now, I found this, this is a little bit more complicated than, let's see, this is For the People. I think his original design was We the People, and then that was turned into Washington's War. I found that a little bit, those games a little bit easier and accessible to get into. This has a little bit more complexity. And again, it's a more complex conflict in that regard in some respects. So, but not insurmountable. This if you're going to start with playing CDGs, this is as fine as anyone to start, especially if you like the subject matter. Here's the rules of play here. It's going to be dual column, full color. Here's an example of some of the counters in here. Here's an extensive example of play. So is this the, this is rules of play. Huh, interesting. There's an example of play here at the beginning. Here's setting up the game. Here's strategy cards. Here's an example of some of the leaders there. I wonder if there's a, did I miss that? Here's a breaking out some of the event cards here. Didn't know to see if there was a breakout of one of the leaders. Here we go. Take a look at the leaders here. So you have an offensive rating, defensive rating, strategy rating, political value, and then their name at the top there. So that's Robert E. Lee. So this, this not only does this have the military aspect of things, it also, takes into account some of the politics in somewhat of an abstracted way, but it's still in there. So here's land operations. And there's examples throughout here. So not only you have that example at the beginning, but you have some examples of some of these rules and mechanics throughout here. Here's movement, interception. That's a key concept in card-driven games, especially point-to-point type games. Moving from one box to the other, intercepting someone's movement. Here's combined operations here. Getting into amphibious assaults, ironclads. Here's battle. Here's an example of battle here. Battle casualties, attrition. Again, this is a strategic level of view of the American Civil War, so it's going to be over a long period of time, and the advancement of the leaders or promotion of the leaders, and politics and supply and wintering and all that other stuff's going to come into play. Here's reinforcements. Here's political warfare, strategic will, and then you get into some of the scenarios. So the rules are about 40 pages, but again, there are some examples in there. Here are some of the scenarios. You have an 1861, an 1862, an 1863, an 1864, and the campaign game. So to play it all. Here's some different play notes and optional rules. And there you have it. That's the rules. Then we have, here's charts and tables. These are on thick player aid type boards, or poster board type paper. Here's your sequence of play, your strategic will summary, state control values, combat results, battle die roll modifiers, movement summary. So you get 2 of those for each of the players. Here's a strategy card list. So these are all the cards in there. That gives you an idea. One of the things about CDGs, that come up from time to time is the more you play the game, the more you are familiar with the actual cards, and so knowing those cards, knowing what's in your hand, or knowing what's been played, it's almost turns into kind of a poker game, or trying to draw from a 6-card shoe in blackjack. You start getting an understanding or predicting of what is out there or what's available, and making strategy based on that. Plus, what are the good cards and what are some of the weaker cards. So that's always kind of nice to have this strategy card list to kind of get a view of what are all involved there. But again, it's going to take several plays for you to really understand what's good, what's bad, and what's optimal at different times of the game. Here's a 1861 scenario quick setup. And I would imagine that's also the setup for the campaign game as well. Here's some of the counters. So we have some of these probably control markers. Double-sided. And then we have the markers themselves. As you can see here, there's not a ton of counters. That might be all the counters. Yeah, that's probably all the counters that are in here. Because you really do, the strength is all done with these kind of counters, which are almost currency. If you take a casualty, you take one off, and you can always cash in a 5 for a couple of 1s and a 3. Got 2 1s and a 3. Excuse me. So there's not huge stacks of this, because you can always pop up your counters on what you need there, or pop up your build up your forces by just adding the right denomination. Here are all the leaders, and so a lot of what's going to be on the board is the armies, and then you have the leaders. Golly, I'm struggling with it again. Get a good look at those there, and they are double-sided. So not a lot of counters in the game, but what you're going to have is a lot of cards. Here is the mounted board. We'll take a look at both sides of that, because that really is the new thing in here. Here's a bag of baggies. Here are those 2 6-sided dice, gray and blue. And then we have the decks of cards here. Let me move some of this stuff out of the way so I can put this map out here. We'll look at the cards here probably last. So this is a nice mounted board. Let's look at the original version. This is what I like to call a pair of pants type board. Excuse me. Got those coughs again. So here is the standard board. This is what was in the previous version. This is by Mark Simonich. Get a view of that there. There we go. You can see all the different holding boxes. Again, it's point to point. That's how you will do your movement. But you have all the way from Texas over here to the East Coast over here, which, a lot of your activity is going to be up in this area right in here. You have some tracks on here. You have your turn track. You have a key, Union Naval blockade, amphibious assault modifier, movement summary. You've got several holding boxes here. Here's the Army of Northern Virginia, Tennessee, Mississippi, Army of the West, and you're going to have those same ones for the Union. This is Army Strength that's on here. On both, you have 2 tracks here. Then you also have your combat's results table on the board as well. It's really small, but not too bad. Again, this is all mounted, and you can see it all there. Here's the Confederate reinforcement summary, and I think we've got the Union reinforcement summary right up there. There you have it. So quite a bit of information on here. And you get these little information boxes throughout as well. All right, let's see what the back of this looks like. With the new artwork, upside down, of course. There we go. Here's the new artwork. So you have all the same information, all the same boxes, same information boxes and tracks, but and the holding boxes are in the same location, of course, but now you have a different artwork. You kind of see the Appalachian Mountains, and the river's a little bit different. I mean, it's definitely a different art, but it all comes a matter of what you want, what kind of aesthetics you want to play the game. The original, if you're familiar with the original, then it's a little bit cleaner design, but this one again has that new art overlay on there. All right, let's see what we have in the decks of cards here. They all have the same back. Don't know how they're divided up, but I took a break to cough off camera and start these start these card rips so we can get these packs open a little bit easier. Good quality cards. They're the typical GMT type cards, a little thick, a little stiff. These don't have any linen finish. There's a glossy finish to it, but they're very good. I mean, good quality that, for shuffling and for dealing and holding in the hand, because this is a big part of the game. As you can see here, you're going to have your action points or operation points, and then here's a fortified line. So this has kind of an event or effect that you can use. This one here, if you play this for the event, then you remove it from the game. It's pretty good ops value though. There's Frederick Douglass. So that's one thing I like about card-driven games. You really get a feel for the history. All these cards are going to have some connection to actual events and that took place, and so it really gives you a feel for the game. But the operation points is really where the where gameplay comes into, and the strategy of the. I thought I started this, maybe I didn't. Where the strategy takes effect. Well, maybe I didn't start that one. So let's go to this one. Ball's Bluff. Sometimes there's a little bit of text on the cards. There's the Emancipation Proclamation. So all kinds of cards in there. And they are numbered, so you want to keep track of them there. Of course, there's that chart that we looked at earlier that lists out some of the cards. Here's one. Forward to Richmond. Mosby's Raiders. So that's one of the beauties of CDGs is they can cover a lot of history and a lot of what actually took place, but in a format that it's not necessarily scripted. These cards are going to play out the way you draw them and use them, and so it's kind of neat that way. Maybe this is the 41 here. Thought I started these. Maybe I did not start these. So anyway, love to know your thoughts on this game, this system, or CDGs in general. If you want to be so bold to put it in the comments down below. I like this game. I like this system. And these cards look the same as the other cards. I don't know if really they changed anything here or if they updated or tweaked any of this stuff. The main thing that has changed is the board, both the new art and then it being mounted. And then the other aspect I would imagine is they probably updated the rule book. The GMT is usually pretty good at having living rules, and so I imagine the rule book has been updated with that in mind as well. Get some other charts there. Then we have the rules, and this is the 2024 edition, so it's not saying what version this is, but I imagine it is updated for all the stuff that anybody who's pointed out anything over the last 25 years. So there you have it. That is what you get in a box of For the People with new art, mounted boards, and basically a nice look. So if you have not picked up this game but are interested in it, this is the edition to get now. This has all the latest and greatest, and you have two choices of map boards to play with, the original or the updated one, and I like what I see. Love to know what you all think as well. Anyway, that's what I have for you today. Thank you so much for stopping by. Thanks again to GMT, and thank you, Mr. Herman, for designing such an interesting and innovative game system and game. Thanks. Thanks for watching.